All right, welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show. I'm Onebar with Lupagus. It is SKOL'ing with the enemy. We are going to Green Bay. Who better to have on than Baz himself, the man? You recognize his face from NFC North Roundtable. He's been on multiple times before. So who better to talk to than Baz about these damn pesky Packers? Baz, welcome to the show, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm hyped, man. 3-0 Vikings. I can't say I expected this, but they've been playing great football, and I'm hyped to see what the Packers can do against them after, playing two lesser teams, but with a backup quarterback. So I'm hyped.
Yeah, definitely very interesting matchup for both teams here. And I want to ask you this to start. Where would you rank the Vikings just objectively, doing power rankings, just on base what you've seen? Take your little green and gold heart out of it, just looking at this team, what they've done.
In terms of all around, like, they're definitely top five. Like, there's no argument. Like, there really is no argument, because it's not just, a quarterback's carrying them or a running back's carrying them. Like, their defense has created a ton of turnovers. They lead the league in sacks. They're actually second in interceptions to the Green Bay Packers. So, and then you look on the flip side, you see Sam Darnold and what he's doing. Super efficient, not really turning over the ball too much. Although they have allowed a lot of pressure, he's not like faltering during that. Like, he's very confident. The running game's starting to get going with Aaron Jones, which sucks, and I'm excited for that this Sunday. But yeah, I think they're an excellent team right now, and I can't deny it, because it's like every week we were outside the league, we're like, okay, let's see what they do against the Niners. Okay, they beat the Niners. Okay, maybe that's a one-off. Let's see what they do against the Texans. Okay, they just smoked the Texans. And now I can't sit here and be like, let's see what they do against the Packers. Like, no, this is a good football team, and we're gonna have to put our best foot forward to go beat them.
Yeah, Baz, you were definitely on the Sam Darnold train early this offseason, so I got to give you some love there. But speaking of quarterbacks, Jordan Love, everything seems like he's going to play. I mean, they haven't officially said it. Yeah. It does sound like he might not be 100%, though. Like, if he's not 100%, what's your thought as far as trotting him out there against the Vikings defense that could potentially hurt him more, especially after two kind of surprising wins? I mean, you're 2-1, better than expected. Like, are you all for them putting him out there against the Vikings?
Yeah, but I've been going back and forth, because I get the idea of, like, okay, if he's not 100%, obviously Grenard, Van Ginkel, Pat Jones, all these guys have gotten so many pressures, gotten so many sacks. But on the flip side, the Packers' tackles have also been great. I think the interior's been a little bit shaky, but to my recognition, I don't know how many pressures your interior guys have. It's mainly been the edges, correct? So it's kind of, it's a double-edged sword, kind of. It's like, yeah, you got to put your best players out there to go win a football game, but obviously, like, you don't want him to get hit in the lower leg and then be out another God knows what, right? I think the Packers are very stingy with their medicals. It's always Dr. Pat McKenzie that he won't rush a player back. So if we see Jordan Love out there, he got his A-okay. So then I'm comfortable with that. So I'm just waiting to see what they do.
Nice. Let's stick on quarterbacks. Let's talk a little Malik Willis. And I give your, Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff credit for what they've been able to do with him. But I'm curious, long term, is he just looked at as a long term backup in Green Bay? You think you're going to flip him for picks down the road? What's the plan with Malik Willis's future?
Well, here's the thing. Brian Gutekunst during this offseason was pretty much saying he wants to invest more in quarterbacks to develop. And that's why he drafted Clifford last year in the 5th round, drafted Pratt in the 7th round this year. Both didn't work out. And I, again, give credit to Brian Gutekunst for kind of eating both of those draft picks and say, hey, they didn't work. I got to go fix this. I got to go get a backup. But when you look at the history of the Green Bay Packers, I mean, you have Matt Hasselbeck, Aaron Brooks, two guys that, Mark Brunell, that were here, and backups traded for picks later down the line, went on to go start in the league for plenty of other different teams. And I think Brian Gutekunst wants to get back to that. So I think down the line, sure, you see these 2 games or 3 games, whatever it may be, a whole season with the Green Bay Packers, maybe an off season, a team comes knocking. There's so many quarterback needy teams every off season, and they say, hey, we'll give you a 2nd round, a 3rd round. I think the Packers would easily say, yes, 100%. Malik Willis, welcome to whatever team just called. So I think that's what the Packers want to do eventually. Obviously, having a solid backup is excellent. Like, we just went 2-0 with one. But I also believe in the Packers being able to develop a guy after Malik Willis and after him and after him. Like, they're really good with that. Tom Clements, he deserves a shrine, a bust at Green Bay. Like, this guy has coached Favre, he's coached Rodgers, he's coached Love. It's like, and it's not just, oh, he's just the coach there and these quarterbacks are great. Like, if you watch their progression of their footwork, everything, it changes from when they're in college to when they're on the Green Bay Packers. And that's why you see so many similarities with Love to Rodgers and whatnot, like off platform, back foot, all of that. It's Tom Clements. So I have belief in him and the system. He is getting a lot older, so hopefully he can stick around longer. But I think eventually they'll move him for picks if another team comes calling.
I don't know what Sean Mannion is on your staff. I'm going to give Sean Mannion all the credit in the world. That is the only reason Malik Willis. What the hell is he? Is he your quarterback?
He's like an assistant. I honestly, until you just said his name, I forgot he was even on the staff because I've been getting so much praise to Tom Clements. I think he just helps Tom Clements and
shows up.
Yeah. So hey, if it's working, it's working. I mean, I guess Sean Mannion can do something good, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know if I go that far. All right. So you said it. Packers 2-1. I mean, as a Vikings fan, I was really hoping at least a split out of that thing so you could be 1-2. But what's the biggest issue for the Packers right now? Whether it's a specific player, specific position, like what gives you a little heartburn with this Packer squad?
I think a lot of people would agree. If you ask any Packers fans, the linebacker room is kind of like shaky right now. And there's multiple reasons to this. Switching to a 4-3, inherently more off-ball linebackers. It's a different scheme. We put Quay Walker at the mic with the green dot on his helmet, and he just hasn't really meshed well there. Like, Quay Walker is an excellent athlete, and I think he's setting up the play well and getting everyone in the right position, but it's almost doing all of that, then he kind of loses what he has to do, and he's either overcommitting, under-pursuing on run plays. In coverage, he's sitting there flat-footed, not reacting, not having the correct awareness. It hasn't been great. I think they need to move Quay to weak side and just say, play downhill, be athletic, rush the passer, move around. Also, you have Isaiah McDuffie on the flip side, who's been bad in coverage as well. He's a good tackling style type of thumper linebacker, downhill, go and make a tackle. But there's been inconsistencies through the both of them. Then you have a rookie Edgerrin Cooper who's getting average of 14 snaps a game, but every time he's on the field, he makes flashes. He's starting to get more snaps as the weeks go on, and Isaiah McDuffie's starting to get less. So I'm hoping that trend continues and we get this athlete on the field and maybe even play him at the mic or something. Just change something to move Quay around, move Edgerrin Cooper, allow them both to make plays. But I think that's right now the biggest question mark on this team, because every time an offense is moving the football, it seems like they're attacking the middle of the field. Or if they're running the football, they're attacking up the middle, and the linebackers are like allowing massive run lanes. So that's definitely the biggest problem right now.
Well, let's keep talking defense. You got a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, who's brought in. You got eight sacks last week. You're creating turnovers. Is this his scheme? Is it the players? Is it who you play? I mean, how did you guys get 8 sacks last week?
Honestly, all of the above. When you looked at the Tennessee game, they were the most pressured allowed offensive line in the NFL, and right tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere allowed 11 before this game, got benched in this game, and allowed even more. Obviously, it helps playing against Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Going against top-tier quarterbacks, they're going to be able to dissect that, maybe throw the ball quicker, be more in rhythm, where those two guys are just, at this point, two of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, they clearly are. They're turning over the football. They can't throw an in-rhythm ball. And then also personnel, like this offseason, going and signing Xavier McKinney has been monumental for this defense. Jeff Hafley's new scheme is more aggressive. He likes to play some single high. He likes cover 6. He likes a lot of different things. And Xavier McKinney has been that post safety that has the range to go sideline to sideline, and you're comfortable with that. A lot of teams are playing too high in today's NFL. I'm sure you guys saw that whole Mel Kiper thing. Whatever. Crazy. Crazy, first off. But we've also been playing some single high a lot of the time, where you have a Xavier McKinney back there and you have so much range. I mean, he started opposite hash last week, came all the way across the field, got an interception on a 9-round Hopkins. Now, Jair had it locked up anyways, but still, the range, you saw it. It's like, wow. So personnel, and then also scheme change, just being a little bit more aggressive, giving the opposing team a little bit more disguised coverages, disguised blitzes, on 3rd and long, putting your 4 best pass rushers hand in the dirt, go and get the quarterback. I think that's been the biggest change. And through three weeks, we have the same amount of interceptions, 7, than we did all of last season. That stat alone should tell you something has changed.
Yeah, I mean, you guys lead the league with turnovers, right? 9?
Yeah, 9 with 7 interceptions, and I think you guys are second in interceptions, right? With 5? Yeah.
So give me this, like the state of the Packers. I know you guys are the youngest team in the league, but where are you right now as far as like based off of current contracts, future cap space? Where are you with the Packers window? Are you just getting into the window? Are you mid window? Like where are you as a franchise looking into the next 2 to 3 years?
I would say I guess like 1 foot in the window.
All right.
But like, yeah, like we're still very young, obviously. So what comes with young age is rookie contracts. So our whole wide receiver room, like the cap hit, I know the stat last year. I don't know about it currently, but I'm sure it's pretty similar. Like last year, an entire wide receiver room, the cap hit was less than just Allen Lazard's cap hit on the Jets. So like that kind of explains the amount of talent we have in that wide receiver room. Yeah, you paid Jordan Love at the time the most a quarterback has ever been paid, but when you have that opportunity, you're going to do that. We also have a lot of first-round picks on defense, so that gives you the opportunity with fifth-year options and a lot of rookies on defense, a lot of young rookie contracts on defense. I think there's a long window about to happen for the Green Bay Packers because of their development, because the way Brian Gutekunst is building this team, drafting. It seems like every year he's adding another weapon on offense where you go, okay, well, now we have another one, and this guy's expendable. And it's going to come to a point with these receivers where you got to pay someone, and that's going to happen. But at that point, you'll know. You'll assess the situation and be like, all right, these are our top 3 guys. We pay them. We're good to go. Obviously, them fixing potentially right now, it seems like their defense with hiring Jeff Hafley, that seems like a massive step in the right direction. So I think they're just entering their window, and I think they have a decent amount of time in it.
Nice. Let's get back to the game this Sunday. 3-0 Vikings coming to town. What concerns you most about this Vikings team?
I would say their ability to create pressure and create turnovers. When you look at it, I mean, they simply get interceptions. So they allow the 26th in passing yardage in terms of the defense, which you look at that and you're like, oh, we'll be able to pass on them. But what they do really well is, like I said, create turnovers. So they're second in interceptions. They're NFL top 16 sacks. But on the flip side, the Packers are also only 7th allowed in sacks with only 5. Zach Tom, only 0. He has 0 pressures allowed, 0 hurries, 0 sacks. Rasheed Walker, the 9th best pass blocking left tackle. So I think they match up well, but it's still scary. Like when I watch the highlights and the game recaps of the Minnesota Vikings, it's like, man, they're flying around out there. And then on the flip side, like you can't sit here and say I'm not worried about the offense, like what they're doing without Addison, what they're doing without Hawkinson. What's going to happen when they get those guys back? It's almost like it's helping them. It's like, oh, Sam Darnold's an underdog, and he has all these underdog players around him, and it's scary. It's scary. You see Jalen Naylor making insane grabs for him. Powell. I mean, all these guys. So I think all around, there's a very sound football team. And then, of course, you got to be scared of Brian Flores, what he can do to an offense, what he can scheme up. We voted well against him last time, but I think he's going to watch that and be like, all right, this is what I got to fix. This is what I got to do differently. He's going to like have something completely different in store, I think, this time for the Packers.
All right, couple more for Baz. Link down in the description. Be sure to go over there, give him a sub. What are you at, like 60,000 subs these days?
Around there, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, hey, that ain't bad.
We run, Packers fans are everywhere. That's the thing. Like when I'm doing the lives and stuff, there's people from Japan, Australia, Germany. It's crazy. Like we are literally everywhere. So.
Are you calling yourself Earth's team right now? Is that what I'm hearing?
Earth's team. It's confirmed.
Yep. Team of the Earth. Yep.
Wow.
All right, I got to ask you just quick, like what's your early review, and early being the key word as far as your draft class from last year?
It's unfinished because, like, obviously every draft class is unfinished, but Jordan Morgan, really haven't seen much of him, our first round pick. He was swapping or rotating in with Sean Ryan at right guard, but then he just suffered a shoulder injury, was out last game, hasn't practiced since, could maybe be placed on IR. You have Marshawn Lloyd that was also placed on IR, our third rounder, but where they succeeded and where we've seen massive growth in terms of these rookies is the 2 second rounders in Javon Bullard and Edgerrin Cooper. Javon Bullard has been a full-time starter for us at safety. You can play him deep, too high next to X. You can move him into the nickel where he's done well. You can put him in the box if you want to. And then Edgerrin Cooper, we talked about him earlier. If he starts getting more snaps, you see it already. I mean, this guy is so athletic. He did a pressure last week where he just flew right up the middle and smoked Will Levis. And it was, I swear that guy was shot out of a cannon. He might have hit like 21 miles an hour. It was absolutely insane. Furthermore, Tyron Hopper, not really much snaps on defense, but has shown some promise during the preseason. And then you have Evan Williams, a 4th rounder that they traded up to get, another safety. And he hasn't been getting many snaps, but when he does, he's been flashing. Like he had the interception against the Colts. It was on a Hail Mary attempt, but anytime he's on the field, you see where he's at. So I think overall this draft class, a lot of ball players, mainly on defense right now, because they mainly drafted defense, but I'm happy with it so far. And that's even considering 2 of them out of the top 3 rounds are on IR.
Why isn't Cooper getting more run out there? Is it just because guys?
Well, I don't know. It could also be an Isaiah McDuffie thing because he played under Jeff Hafley at Boston College, so he might be like, "This is my guy. Let's see what he's got first." But his snaps have been going down and down every week, like every single week. So I think they're kind of giving him, the stardom, and let's see him make mistakes, which he has been. And the Packers are always kind of like, they kind of ease rookies in. It's not always just like, boom, you're a second-round rookie, so you're going to play unless there's literally no one behind you. So they're going to ease them in, let them, get their footing, which I like. But I think it comes to a point where you start seeing just Edgerrin Cooper and what he's doing, and then Isaiah McDuffie, and you're like, okay, come on, like this clearly needs to happen. So I'm hoping it does sooner rather than later.
I still hate you guys got him. I loved him coming to the draft, and he goes to the Packers of all teams. God,
yeah, he was my second most mocked player to the Packers behind Katana Ladapo, which they also drafted. So I was happy to see both those guys in the green and gold. Yeah.
Well, you guys brought in some new faces too, and I know you already answered this when you're talking about Xavier McKinney, but which one's going to have the biggest impact? I mean, which one has and which one will continue to have the biggest impact for the Packers this year?
You said outside of Xavier McKinney?
Just no, it can be Xavier McKinney if he's the one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
I think 100% it's Xavier McKinney. I mean, that was their big free agent ad. I mean, you have Josh Jacobs as well, but the Packers are always going to kind of run like multiple running back sets. We saw Emmanuel Wilson lead the yardage last week, had a 30-yard touchdown screen. So as good as Josh Jacobs is, I mean, like I said earlier, X has completely transformed the ability of this defense and allows us to maybe play a little bit more aggressive, play a couple more guys in the box, or play press coverage because at the end of the day, you have X behind you, covering your back. And that wasn't the case in years past with Darnell Savage, John Owens, Rudy Ford, all those guys. They were a liability. And there's no way any of them would have been making the same plays X has been so far.
Where the hell is Darnell Savage?
Jags.
Really?
I haven't been following how he's been playing. You got John Owens on the Bears because the Bears always like our trash as well. Rudy Ford, I don't think he's on a roster. If he is, he might be a practice squad. So that kind of just shows, like, you got Jags and Bears as our safeties.
Yeah.
That's where they went. And Rudy Ford not on a roster. That kind of shows the status of our safety room last year and what needed to be addressed. And that's why they went out and drafted 3 and signed 1.
Burned my ass that you guys got McKinney. It still burns my ass. 3 interceptions through 3 games. All right. So final Baz. Once again, links down in the description. Appreciate you hopping on.
Of course.
I already know. So NFC North roundtable, you predicted the Vikings to win. I know what you're doing there. You're doing a little reverse psychology. You're hoping that pans out, and it usually does for you. So I didn't like that move. So I'm not going to ask you who you think's going to win. What do you consider? What will be a disappointment for the Packers this season? I mean, you guys made it that far last year. Like, what is, if the season's over, you're just like, that was pointless.
It would have to be missed playoffs because we just saw the last 2 weeks. Because, like, you lose your quarterback and you have a backup thrown and backs against the wall, and you're like, we could very well end up 0-3. So the fact that Malik Willis went out there and Matt LaFleur schemed up these masterclasses games, I don't care who they're against, and you end up 2-1 with the potential of Jordan Love coming back against the NFC North lead Minnesota Vikings. Like, if you go down this season after going 2-0 with a backup to start the season and you miss the playoffs, like, that's horrific. And whether that's through a Jordan Love injury, yet again, re-injury or whatnot, I don't know, or poor play. They just snuck into the playoffs last year. So it's not like last year we're a 13-win team and whatnot. Like, we still have to go out and earn to make it into the playoffs. We're third in the NFC North right now. So you have to go out and earn that. So that would be a massive disappointment. I think also like a first-round exit, say if we do go down and potentially, get the second seed, third seed, whatever it may be. If we end up winning the North, I'm not sure. It's a long way away. A first-round exit would be very disappointing as well because, what we saw last year against the Cowboys, which, that was like, you weren't really disappointed after the season. Of course, losing again in the playoffs was heartbreaking, but based off what you saw throughout the whole season, sneak into the playoffs and then just smoke the Cowboys, like, that was like, all right, I'm looking forward to next year. Where it's like this year, if you had a first round exit or you missed the playoffs, you're like, all right, what's going on? What did we do wrong?
I thought you were going NFC Championship game for sure.
Really?
Sure on that one. You threw me a wrinkle. Yeah. I do want to sneak one more in quick. Wow. And I know it's early. I know the Vikings are at 3-0 are still kind of like the, hey, shucks type guy. Like what are they going to do long term? What's Darnold going to do? Looking 10 weeks down the road, who do you see as your legit competition for the Packers getting there? Do you still think it's the Lions in the NFC North?
I think it has to be. And I'm not sitting here and discrediting what the Minnesota Vikings have done, but it's been an anomaly that Sam Darnold has been doing this. And I think a lot of people are like, when's the crash coming? It might not. It might never. You don't really know, but you know what the Lions have done and where they made it last year and what type of football team they have. And I'm not saying the Vikings can't compete with them and even beat the Lions for that spot, but I'm just basing it off of what I already know throughout an entire season last year. And I think personally, it's just going to be a three-headed race at the top of the NFC North. I'm already kicking the Bears out. Sorry. I mean, I just don't see anything there where all three of our teams, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers, you see the potential and you're like, all right, like that team could win the North. Like it could happen. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's 100% the Lions. Like I think it's both of you guys. And I think it's going to be a three-headed race until the very end.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun game on Sunday. Baz, we appreciate you hopping on, man. This is fantastic. Yeah. And good luck on Sunday.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. And guys, don't boo Aaron Jones. Don't do it. Don't do it.